Hey guys, it's Sam from the BCM, and today I'm here with Ashley Blamey, our Title IX coordinator. And actually, her Title IX office is right next door to the BCM, and so we are both neighbors here on campus and neighbors in ways that we serve our campus. So Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about how you found yourself in your position here at UT.
It's a good question. I've been with UT for 13 years. I came here as the first case manager, so sort of what you think of as like 974 help now. I'm a social worker by training, and so my master's and my doctorate in social worker both from UT, and I worked in an inpatient chemical dependency and acute care psychiatric facility before coming here, and so I actually had worked with UT students, but I had not worked with them in this context, and so joined UT 13 years ago, and 3 years ago, I was serving as the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Life, and our Chancellor at the time determined they would like to open a dedicated Title IX office, and so asked me if that would be something I'd be really I'd be interested in, and I said absolutely. I care a great deal about prevention, but most of my work is in prevention, and so I said I would love to do it, but I want to do it different. We're obviously focused on compliance, and that's important. That's sort of the floor, we always say, but prevention is our ceiling. And so our long-term goal is that people don't have these experiences, and our obvious responsibility is, if someone does, is to be available to support, explain rights and resources and reporting options.
Yeah, and we're so thankful. I know I have visited your office and seen some of those resources, pointed people to those resources, and they are so well done and so thoughtful, and just such a place of engagement for our students to know, not only in the midst of struggles how to act, but again, prevention, which is, I think, so pivotal. And that's why we're meeting today. I want to be a part of that prevention process here on campus. Something you talk a lot about is kind of the red zone on campus. Can you explain the red zone to our BCMers?
Sure. So red zone it's a national term, and it is used in research to describe the start of school until about the Thanksgiving break, to say that's a higher risk time, especially for our new and incoming students. A higher risk time for assault, and higher risk time for a number of other things as well, because you're moving into a new environment, and so you're learning new rules, resources, decision making. All of that comes into play. Mm-hmm. The university has historically done a lot of what we call pop-up red zone events. One of the things that is, I think, very neat is that we're transitioning this year the red zone to have more of a focus on bystander training and consent. One of the things that red zone does a good job of is educating people about risk, and one of the things that is sort of the next tier in that is helping people to know how to do real prevention. And so this year, the Center for Health Education and Wellness, who does most of our outreach for prevention for students, they're going to focus very boldly, I think, on bystander intervention and consent during that red zone time. So when are people most at risk, and then what behaviors can you actually do to reduce risk? And so that is something that's new this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. It means that we all have a role to play, and that we can all be a part of seeing our campus be at its best, which is something I think we all need to take into consideration. So that's fantastic. What are some things that these new students maybe can do to help make good choices or place themselves in better circumstances and awareness while they start here on campus?
I think it's always helpful when you join a new community to find connection. I think it's helpful to make decisions that are congruent with who you are and who you want to be in this environment. I think it's critically important that people think about consent. And when we talk about consent, we're talking about hand-holding all the way to intimacy. I think there's a lot of important things that need to happen in communication between parties, and that's something that I would encourage all students to think about, that it is both your right to ask for consent and it is your responsibility to ask others. And I always say that in a very broad context, because whatever personal decisions people make, you are also making that decision with someone else, and I think that is just critically important. And I think the other part is getting trained to be an active bystander, to learn what that means. And a lot of us, there's this idea you need some sort of formalized training, and it certainly helps. But I think what a lot of us can do is just take the step. So the first step is acknowledge the situation. It's involves ACT, A-C-T. So acknowledge the situation, like, this isn't okay. I noticed this. I noticed that someone may be at risk because maybe they've had a lot to drink and you see them wandering off. Well, that is a great time because you already noticed. So just to take ownership. Yeah, I noticed that. I can't unknow it. Consider your options. That's the C in ACT. So consider your options. You could go help the person. You could ask someone else to help them. You could get their friends to come over and take care of them. I mean, there's a lot of options. I think people think when we ask them to act that we mean you have to make a citizen's arrest or you have to get in a fight. None of that is true. There are all kinds of ways to intervene that are just very useful and can be very low level. And the T is just take action. So do the thing, and ask yourself what holds you back. I think oftentimes people find that the things that hold them back are they don't want to get involved, or they don't want it to, you know, they don't want to make a scene or whatever. But once you've acknowledged, you're already involved. And so every decision you make from there, I think, is just about taking care of yourself and others. So those are the two things I would recommend, is people get comfortable talking about things, and I would recommend that people get comfortable looking out for each other in a really meaningful way.
Yeah. One of the things that we talk a lot about is the simple act of noticing, like, one of your friends leaving the BCM to walk across campus alone after a late night study session. Could you think about, like, hey, maybe I could drive you over there? And you're just being aware that maybe that situation isn't the best. And yeah, okay, maybe something won't happen, but what if something did? And so these small moments of training your mind to be aware of another person's safety and well-being is so critically important. And I think it takes practice. Would you agree with that it kind of takes practice to kind of open your eyes to that?
Sure, yeah. I think it takes practice, and I also think it takes bravery, really. I think it's really quite easy to not notice, not engage, not offer. I think it is brave to notice and to take ownership. And I think that I always tell people, you know, I assume the best and also plan for the risk. And so, you know, just thinking about the opportunity to, like, drive somebody across campus, if that's an example, then you just spend some time with somebody who maybe need to spend some time with someone, or maybe you needed to spend some time with someone. I always talk about, you know, it just takes, sometimes you can think about the days that one person got you over the hump, like, you know, just someone acknowledging you, someone offering to take a minor load off of your plate, like anything to help each other through this time. I think especially right now, that is something that people need probably more than ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we mentioned at the beginning your office being right next door and some resources that I've used and I've pointed others to use. What are some of those resources that Title IX has?
So what we do is we meet with individuals either by Zoom, phone, and in person, and just sort of figure out what they want. And one of the ways we do that is to say, here's who I am. You don't have to tell me anything, but I would like to tell you about some things we have available for you. And people have different, just everyone is so unique. And so some people may want to talk a great deal. Some people may not want to talk at all. Some people may want to share very limited information, and all of that's fine with us. Right. Our goal is to put the options in front of people. So from the supportive perspective, we often work with people to get medical care, counseling, academic resources. So, like, let's say that you have a doctor's appointment related to something and you cannot attend class today, we can take care of that. We work with faculty all the time. If you have a housing need, you need to transfer housing, you need to leave housing, those types of things we work with people on. There's just a number of things we can do, and we're uniquely positioned to do them by law and policy. And so our goal is to help people to know that. We want people to have access to their education, and there are experiences that create an additional challenge for people, and our goal is to do everything within our power to mitigate that additional challenge. We also work with pregnant students. So we work with students who are pregnant and attending the university who may have a special medical need. Like, pregnancy alone doesn't, you don't have to tell us that, if you're having a baby, but we do work with students who may have additional medical need related to that. We work closely with athletics, kind of a number of roles, but as far as support resources and things like that, if you need it, we can pretty much facilitate it. Orders of protection, connection with the Sexual Assault Center of East Tennessee and the Family Justice Center. We have really nice partnerships in those areas.
And I'll say I've taken a number of students over there, and it is always very gentle, very discreet. no choices are ever forced upon a student. And I've just always been so thankful for the way that you guys progress through things with students, with such just letting them be in the driver's seat. And you're just saying, here are the 6 different ways that you could turn right now. You drive. I'm just telling you options. And I was just always so grateful because there were resources that are so vastly beyond what, maybe I as a campus minister can do, or anyone as a first responder can do when someone reports something to you. Helping them know that there's actions that can be put in place to help them in whatever need and whatever capacity they desire is just so it's just such a resource. And I'm so thankful that we can point our students to you. And I've had students who have been first responders who I've taken over there and said, hey, I don't need to know what happened to your friend, but you need to know that these things exist for your friend too. And so it's also helpful for your bystanders to kind of come in and familiarize themselves with like, oh, these are the things, these are the options, because sometimes students aren't always going to go to the Title IX office first. They're going to go to a friend, an RA, a campus minister. And so us being aware of these options is also giving us, it's kind of that C part. Like I have this choice to make and I can take action on it. And this is another choice in our roster now, which is so helpful. So,
and we just redid our website, and I think it's more useful than it has been historically. So just always encouraging people, if you have a friend or if you don't want to come to the office or even talk to us, all of those resources, the confidential resources, are on our website and really easily accessible. So we wouldn't want someone to not know about them just because they maybe didn't feel comfortable or didn't choose to talk with us. So always encouraging people to check out the website. Hopefully it's a little more user friendly. And also we're happy to hear feedback if anyone has recommendations as well. That's always useful.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else maybe that you'd like to share with our students? Or I hate to just, not give you another option to extend your wisdom with us.
Oh, you're sweet. No, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I've always had a really good, in all these 13 years doing different jobs at the university, I've always had a close relationship with the Campus Ministers Council because I know the connection and community that exists through our campus ministries. And so I'm grateful to be included in your resources, and I'm grateful for the team and for the students who utilize you all as their home on campus. I think it's a big deal, and I appreciate being part of it.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Ashley, for being with us today. And again, these resources will be linked up. And of course, you can always come find me to talk more about this. We'll see you soon, BCM. Bye.